gonna lose the shop. I gotta fix this. We're gonna lose the shop. I gotta fix this Bronco II so I can rescue us from uncertain apocalyptic doom. Welcome back to Kim Fixes Things. We have a very mild December day here in Tennessee, and so we can do outside stuff. Just a little, keep things rolling. You know, it's not good to let projects stagnate too much. Curious, excited, interested with all this ignition work. That was what was keeping this little Bronco II from going, I believe. So I've never done a walk around. I got this for rock bottom dollar kind of deal from a soldier up at Fort Campbell. He was moving. It was a little too big of a project for him to get through. He was being relocated, and he had 2 or 3 other vehicles. He said it's not worth moving around, and it's tough to sell a vehicle that doesn't run. He knew there was value here, but it's hard to, prove that value when you can't even get it to start. And so he got it in the condition it's basically in, has done a little bit of work. So let's take a look around, see how it got to where it is now. The walk around is pretty simple. She is an 85 Ford Bronco II. She's got a little bit of radiusing on the wheels for bigger tires. Maybe these aren't it. Maybe there was bigger tires, or maybe there was dreams of bigger tires, or maybe they were, who knows? Someone liked that idea. The back tires, I did 2 days ago, got out here, took the tires off, took them off the beads, cleaned the beads, and put them back on because they kept going flat, and the tires wouldn't stay up for more than a couple of days because the aluminum beads get corroded when they sit around low too long, and then you fill them up and there's no leaks. Well, if you take them off and check, they'll be leaking around the bead. So clean them up. That's a little better. Those tires are old and dry rotted. They are not highway ready, but they're fine for a little bit of off-road, some testing, and some moving around the properties. A little bit of the rust showing. It ain't perfect. We never believed it was. We got this wraparound window, which I think is a really 80s feature, and pretty unique, cool stuff. It's got the square 80s iconic square corners, which is, cool. Okay, I like a Ford. It's got some neat features. The 2-pop. It's got this, and it's got this. Whoa! It does have the overdrive transmission. She's an automatic. Well, I didn't notice this before. There is a transmission. Oh shoot! I did not notice this before. There is an uninstalled transmission fluid. Ooh. Okay, we're gonna come back to that because there's some issues with the transmission that maybe he didn't understand. Hopefully he didn't burn out the transmission. I don't think he got too far in this, so hopefully he did not damage the transmission. I'll show you how that goes. There's a little bit of the chrome's just barely holding it together there, but it's not bad. The underside, the frame and everything looks really good compared to what I'm used to. Another thing that you don't usually find in the back, in the trunk, is the driver's seat. That's a little unusual, so I'll explain that. Got the hitch for towing. At this point, the hitch helps us tow it, but that's okay. Got the moss growing. This was on the north side, parked to the north. I'm not hopeful here. Oh, no, there's not going to be anything good inside of there. No, nope. That's not gasoline. That's varnish. That's deck stain. Fire stove. Ooh, that'll be good for starting a wood stove. Put a little splash of this on there, and maybe. Got the nice wide mirror right there. I like that. She has no tag. No idea when she's been registered last. Got a little bit of a custom fender radiusing going on there. Does have the manual lockable hubs. That's kind of neat. It makes a nice, satisfying click. Let's see. Ooh, that's satisfying. As we saw in the trunk, the seat is not where it's supposed to be. And the reason for that is, I'm going to flip you around here so you can see. As you can see, is there is some metallic chemical conversion going on here. And the seats, yeah, the brackets seem to have dissolved. Now this is interesting. I think you're gonna like what we find, what that is. But the previous owner, the military guy, he was trying to put this back together, and he found me a aftermarket seat slider, and it does line up. Once we drill these bolts out, these holes line right up, so we're gonna have to do something to get them bolts out, and once we do that, we will be able to get, seat bracketry and that. Okay, more parts. We've got an electronic sighter here, and it will produce, I bet you that's bad. Maybe good for a core exchange. I don't know. Sometimes they just need a little bit of rebuilding. I'm pretty good at that. Maybe I can do something with that. Oh, you know what? I'll bet you it's not working because of the other thing. Oh, I know why this wasn't working. Wiring. Yeah, there's some wiring problems on this vehicle, and we'll get around to that. So we got the fan clutch, and this stuff's good. Drink in that 80s goodness, right? What do they call that kind of wood? Walnut or something. We've got the multi-shifters, automatic, and a four-wheel drive transfer case. Very, very nice. Yeah, if I can get back far enough, you could see she's got the optional skylight, which is, although the headliner looks like hell, the view of the sky from inside this vehicle is unique. You can't duplicate that. Like you are outside, practically outside while you're driving. It is very neat. Got this classic seating. This back seat is probably worth the price I paid for this entire vehicle. Ooh. All right, we got a glove box. It's empty. So that's all the information we have. We do have a Haynes style service manual, and that may be useful at some point. The internet is, if there's ever an apocalypse and I can't get to the internet, I can maybe study everything that there is to know about this vehicle. Okay, now let's get to why this is like this, because that really tells the story. That really time to start telling the whole story. You'll notice that there is a unique patina pattern here on the hood. Something special, and it is going to you're going to see why. We're going to show you why. Got the LED lights, a little bit of straightening special. She's been pushed around a little bit. Got the classic Ford blue oval. Got a transmission cooler right there. That's good. Got an AC condenser, so that probably has AC. Is good. I bet you it works too. All right, and into the belly of the beast, we find that she has the classic 2.8 liter V6. Not the most powerful engine ever designed and built. I think it was commonly found in a Pinto. Probably a little bit underpowered for off-roading or any kind of four-wheel drive stuff, but I remember these being prone to rollover, so maybe it's just to keep it on the mellow. Might be fine to cruise in, maybe not a hot rod. What looks to maybe be a replacement radiator. That could be really good or could be really bad. I'm seeing what looks to be a replacement never even run water pump. So that's going to be bad. When they've fired the parts cannon at all the stuff, you know, when they've got the aftermarket stamped cap and the thing and the pump, this means it's going to need a head gasket. Could I get lucky and it not be a head gasket? No. It might just be a head gasket, or it could be a cracked head. Well, we'll see. If we can get it to run, and we'll see if it just starts blowing coolant out, and if that's the case, then then we know. And that's once again why do people sell old vehicles for pennies on the dollar? Because there's just so many unknowns, and of course they didn't have time or a place to part it out, so they just need you to get it out of the way. Like, I didn't have time to work on it now. Nobody does. But I did have a spot. Luckily, the Campo del Campo has some open parking spots. But even now, we've got an abundance of projects. And if I'm not going to be able to get this running, don't want to work on it, whatever, it needs to go to someone else. It needs to get rescued to the point where it's rescued and then go. Because I just can't sit on all these old cars forever. And it isn't worth much not running. And potentially with a bad head gasket, or maybe even worse, a cracked head or something like that. I'm not a Bronco expert. So there's probably a lot of stuff I don't know about this vehicle. Not probably, there's definitely a lot of stuff I don't know. I spend a bunch of time at night researching, and I like to do that. And I'm not in a hurry to get it running because I have a vehicle if I need to go anywhere. So I am in a unique position to enjoy the process. And I do not have a deadline. It's more exciting if there's a deadline, though. So let's make there a deadline. There's a sense of urgency. Can you feel it? Okay, there's really not. I lied, there's not. This sits for months. When there's a nice day and I feel well, I come out and tinker on it. And it's rewarding when I get stuff done. You might detect, it's hard to see, it's hard to notice, but if you really look hard, you could see a lot of soot and blackness, you know? It's indication of fire and heat, okay? It extends up here. If you use your eyes real close, I can flip you around so you could see. Really, really close. It's almost imperceivable. But there is just a tiny, tiny, tiny indication that there may have been something got hot. There's potentially heat damage. Maybe these wires, they might be okay. I don't know. Or they might be burned beyond recognition. There's that possibility too. The brake booster might be destroyed. Yeah, we just might have borrowed the carburetor off of this vehicle to get the Valiant running. Actually, this is where the carburetor for the Valiant came from. Someone ordered a brand new replacement Amazon carburetor to get this going, and we swiped it off of this to put on the Valiant. And they also ordered a brand new Amazon nameless tag. Oh, it is Motorcraft labeled. I guess it could potentially be Motorcraft. And it is the standard igniter with no built-in mechanical advance of any type, I believe. Oh no, it does have advance down in there. If you see down there below that plate. Oh, this is good. This is a mechanical advance. These are not cheap. All right. Okay, so we've got... That's better than I realized. And then yesterday, when I wasn't recording because it was raining and I was miserable and I was just about ready to give up on this, and I used some jumper wires. I did some research. This is a Ford Duraspark, which is not what went on an 85 Bronco. But this distributor works with Duraspark module. This shiny one back here is a replacement unit as well. Is Duraspark coil. We wired it all together, and wouldn't you know, when I spin this out of the car and put I've done this before on this channel. If I put a spark plug on the end of the coil wire and spin that with power, it does throw a nice spark. Good spark. Wonderful spark. One that will run the engine. So I need to get that cleaned up, that bird nest of wiring cleaned up to a slightly more factory style. As you can see from the greenies in there, that wiring is not going to work. So we are going to have to do a little bit of wiring, and then we'll have a spark. I know all the parts work, they just need hooked together in a fashion that is useful. All these parts for the water pump and all are in the trunk. So that's good. The alternator, I have a feeling that, the burned wiring over here, I have a feeling, because this is our voltage regulator, it's multiple fields. I think if I trace it all down, I will be able to get the alternator to actually function. So more wiring, lots of wiring. I would love to get this in the garage to do all this wiring. Have our spark plug wires and things. It looks like someone has changed that stuff out. And then we are going to use the vacuum cleaner and clean up that hole so that we can install that distributor. For some reason this engine does not have the timing tab installed, but you could see the timing mark there on the damper. I'll point it out with my finger. Right there is our timing mark, and the tab from the internet, I have devised that the tab would come about here. So we're close to top dead center, and I don't know if we're on our exhaust or intakes, but we're going to give it a try. This is where our Lone Wolf 2500 light duty, heavy duty starting button is installed to the ignition relay. So that's already kind of done for me. Thank you, previous owner. There is some wiring here. I don't know if it's burned up but I don't know what is burned up and what is not. I'm sure that they were just trying to get it to go. And so that is why, and the transmission. So you could see this linkage here is burned up, and no one devised a method to connect this to the carburetor that they purchased. Okay, and it was just kind of over there out of the way, like it wasn't anything important. And this is some type of kick down linkage for the transmission, right? So that's going to regulate shift points and stuff like that. So if that wasn't hooked to anything, if it wasn't hooked at all, transmission's not going to function right. So they may have thought that there was a problem with the transmission fluid or filter or something like that. And I am more that's sus. That needs to be, I know it ain't going to work right without some kind of, it's there for a reason. And then the fluid looks a little foamy. It's a little too pink. Why does it look foamy like that? Wonder if it was underwater. That could be a problem. Well, we'll just put that back. We'll think about that later. If we can get the motor to run and the transmission turns out to be bad, well, then we have a good motor, And I do have a carburetor. I purchased another cheap replacement Amazonian carburetor. I don't think they make carburetors in the Amazon, although maybe they do, and they might be perfectly good carburetors. I think I have most of the parts. Whoever owned this, they had a pretty keen idea of what they needed parts-wise to get back to go, but they lacked the follow-through to make all that happen. Because they don't have a whole lot of four-wheel drive adventuring to do around here. And I also have a Subaru that's a four-wheel drive, and I also have that Big Blue that's a 360 four-wheel drive. So I don't need three. Just keep getting more cars around here. And I have the green truck is very capable. It has it's a two-wheel drive, but has a locking rear differential, so that would probably make it pretty capable. I don't do a lot of off-roading. It's an 85 Bronco. You're going to have problems because it's not perfect, and I think it has brakes. Pretty sure it has brakes. That's a nice thing. So we start with something, right? And I think that he gave me the brand new battery with it, and it has a brand new water pump in it, and it had a brand new carburetor on it, and a distributor in it. I mean, I got the whole vehicle for the price of those parts. I won't make any money unless I get it running. So there's the urgency. I won't make a penny unless I get this 85 Ford Bronco running. Don't buy an 85 Ford Bronco because you won't make money. You won't make money. There's no money to be made. There's more work than there is money to be made. But this is fun. I like to do this, So I think it's because I'm crazy. There's people who think I'm crazy for one reason. I think I'm crazy for this reason. All right, so I almost got the distributor in. But I'm going to show you down where it mounts, where the little bolt holds it down in. It's not touching the motor. You're just going to have to believe me on this. I'm getting a camera for this. It just won't go all the way in. And the reason for that is that it's engaging the gear on the cam, but it ain't engaging at the bottom there's that hexagonal dealio. That's I think that's the drive for the oil pump. And so the way that we're going to resolve that, we're going to stick this in, and then we're going to use a bar to turn them on. And I know the engine spins freely from previous testing. It cranks and everything. So we're going to stick that in, and then we're going to turn the motor a little bit until it engages and slides down. But I thought that might be interesting or important for you to realize that that is a thing that might happen. And that, obviously you're not going to be able to stick the clamp on it until it's all the way down. So we're going to get that in and on to the next. I kind of wiggle back and forth while pushing down. And then with my other hand, I give a little bitty light. Just start rolling the thing. And as I wiggle, it engaged the oil pump. And then we are good to go. It went down in. This turned back. that's close enough to number 1 that I've got lots of room here to adjust. I got my wires. My distributor is stabbed in. I put my bolt down there. I'll put my bolt in down there loosely. Here we go. That's what the hold down for this looks like. So we're just gonna get that started. We won't put it on too tight so we can time it a little bit once it's running, but we don't want it to come popping out of there since it runs the oil pump. The carburetor that was on here was a new Amazon 2300 Autolite style, a Ford carburetor. Well, Buff Del Campo took one look at that and thought, oh man, that would work really good on our Plymouth Valiant with a little adapter plate. And the carburetor that we were using, I had rebuilt twice and it still was not working. So we robbed the carburetor off this. Which, fine, whatever. So I went out and bought a brand new one. It is a knockoff. It is not quality parts. I'm likely to regret my choices, but it is in the style, the form, the clone of a Holley, your standard Holley, you know, with the standard Holley everything. And I've never owned one of these. I know it's a good carburetor, you know, tried and true, okay. I don't know this is a good carburetor, but I know this is a good design. It's a copy of a good design. Copy of a good design? Yeah, it's a clone of something that I know was a good thing. It's got the sight glass so that you can set the float. It's fancy. It's nice. It's got the electric choke. That's a nice thing since all of the factory stuff is gone from this because it was burned, you know. I don't know what it is with me and buying stuff that's been burned. I guess because it's wiring, and that just baffles people. This is bad. The wiring on the Dakota is bad. The wiring on the Lost Fire, well, everything on the Lost Fire is burned. But yeah, I mean, once the wiring burns up, people just dismiss it. It's like it's done. This will bolt right on, and with some fuel, it should bark. It's got spark now. I don't think we have a fuel tank or maybe bad fuel pump, so we're just going to bottle feed it. We'll fill up the bowl with a bottle, and then once we get it to run, we'll worry more about a real fuel system. You can change the jetting, and it's easy to get parts for this. And there's a million places that will explain to you how every nook and cranny port little adjustment works on this, which as a do-it-yourselfer, it's become open source because the original manufacturer, it's been around long enough. They can't hide how it works anymore, so it's to their advantage actually that people see how it works, and then they deliver high quality reliability to people who are willing to pay for that. Until I'm making a little money on this channel, it's hard for me to go out and pay double to get the Holley name. I don't know, maybe I will have to, maybe I'll end up going and getting a you know, I would love to be able to just drop cash on some brand new name brand stuff. And probably as the channel progresses, I'll be buying more nice stuff, because honestly, fussing with junk parts is frustrating, tiring, time-consuming. If you have a mechanic that can look at things and discern between good parts and junk parts and do that sorting for you, that's a lot of value. So don't undervalue the person whose job it is to determine when your aftermarket or replacement parts are good or bad, because you can spend a lot of time and headaches. You know, how many times do you have to break down or get towed before it was worth it to just pay more for something good and from the start? In opposition of buying good parts, I'm going to throw this piece of junk on here and see if I can make it run until it can get on a trailer and get out of its own way and move on to some other project. Or maybe it'll work really good. Doubtful. Make sure you thoroughly clean your gasket surfaces so that perfect, and you don't get any leakages. And then match up the bottom. Perfect. That's gonna look good. Oh yeah. All right, now I gotta find the hardware that when I was in my hurry to remount this, I have cast aside and is lost. And it looks like they burned up the throttle cable, so we may have to scavenge one of those from somebody. This carburetor done quite a bit. There's a little interference going on there. I think, though, if we just take this stud out and replace it with a shorter one, that that's not too hard of a fix. We'll do that. Just got to keep your eyes open, though. You know, this isn't the factory part that went on here, so you have to make sure your fitment is not obstructed. This is a low-pressure fuel system. It really takes no pressure to provide fuel to this carburetor. It has a float system, so it's actually gravity-fed. So it should actually fill up without any pressure per se. You know, pressure is required to move the fuel from the tank to the carburetor, but the float opens and closes by gravity. So yeah, just a little, you know, get that carburetor primed a little bit, because I don't think anything's going to come out of this here fuel line. I don't know. It goes down to there. There's a pump. I don't think the pump got burned. I probably don't want to try and get it started its first time on whatever's in that tank anyways. She's drinking it up. Let's see if it does if it has enough in the bowl there that it has a pump shot. Get there and up we go, and hold the choke open so that it doesn't get in our view. Place to stick my foot. There we go. And over there. And you tell me if we get anything. Here, I'll get you lined up. All good and perfect with the selfie stick. There it goes. Yeah. Good, good, good. Yeah, no, it might be time to try and start it. Ooh, that'll be exciting. Okay, be right back. Sometimes I get excited. I was a little excited. I've got it together. I got fuel in the carburetor. I got a sparky thing sometimes. And I was like, I got in it. I pulled the little, I pushed the button. I hooked up the battery and I pushed the button. It engaged the starter, but I think maybe the solenoid stuck. It just kept running and running and running, and I'm like, and I was in the cab. Like the engine didn't start, just the starter kept running. So I had to run out here and pull the battery cable off, and I decided that was like no good. So I set up the camera so you could kind of follow along with my success or failure, whichever it may be. And so let's see what's going on with this solenoid. Because obviously it did disengage, because when I put this on, it doesn't start cranking again. And I kind of think maybe I had the distributor out 180 degrees, which I was just taking a stab at it. It's easy enough to flip around. Let's see what happens when I start it up. pumped some gas. Well, all right, everything's happening. It's shooting gas, which we didn't really want, but I mean, I'll pump it into something and we'll drain the tank a little bit and flush that out while we bottle feed it. I don't think it's sparking. I think it could be a ground issue. We're gonna check for spark again because it just doesn't seem to be. Something probably came to. Oh wait, the red wire. If I don't hook this up, then duraspark doesn't have it. So that would no power to the duraspark. That'll be important. But now that we know that gas is going to come squirting out of the fuel pump, we're going to get that set up so that we don't blow ourselves, set it on fire again. Got this powers the duraspark. I'm not going to bother you with a wiring diagram, but all the car's wiring is junk. We're just running the bare minimum, so 12 volt positive and the 12 volt to the starter is about the only thing that's connected. This sounds like a little something. You may have the timing very early or very late. Eyes open, learning. Well, I may have been really using the wrong timing marks. I don't know which set of timing marks is which, but these got numbers on them. All right, I'm gonna pull the number 1 spark plug so that as I turn the engine up to top dead center, I can see if I'm on a compression stroke. I might as well make sure I get it right without stabbing it in and out of there 3 more times. If you were curious, this is what our spark plugs look like. They are TR5 V-Power from Japan. That's actually usually better quality than Chinese. I got some goop on it I gotta clean off. This has never run with these plugs in it. They look like they're brand new. Plugs, wires, distributor, ignition box, carburetor. This guy threw the whole parts cannon, just loaded it up and just fired. I still couldn't get it going. I almost felt bad taking it off of him, but I have no way to verify if anything works once it does run. I don't know if the 4-wheel drive is in good shape. The frame's not rusted out, so, there's value here for sure, but, I'm not even a Bronco person. It was cheap, and I thought, that looks cool. Somebody will want that someday, and if I don't fix it, it's going to the junkyard. I'm feeling the compression, so this is, I'm going to bring our timing mark up to 1. We're up to 0, I mean. And then bring you in so you can see how it was supposed to be done in the first place. Oops. Hey, I can admit when I make a mistake. Timing mark. It's labeled 0 down here, top dead center. And I'm pretty sure between these, evenly spaced between these 2 bolts is the timing tab. So it ain't, scientific style accurate, but it's what we have for today. And then at that point, the distributor should be pointing there. So I could either re-stab it, bring that around. I'm going to do that. I'm going to re-stab that and bring that around so I have a little bit of adjustment to it. But, yeah, it was definitely off by like 2 positions. No wonder it was doing absolutely nothing. It wasn't doing anything. I'm surprised it wasn't backfiring. This is the riveting content, huh? Why do I do this? Okay, So once again, I've got the distributor in a position where the oil pump alignment is not good for the distributor to go all the way down. So if I give the crank a little bit of movement, it'll turn the cam a little bit, twist the distributor, and that will get it to line and it'll drop down. I wonder what the weather's like in Pittsburgh. I was just saying, I might still get this today. Why did I say that out loud? Why? Why did I do that to myself? It's like, the fix is in, it's never starting now. Now we get to squeeze our hands back in here. Honestly, there's lots of space compared to probably lots of vehicles that you would have to do this on, but yeah. Alright. Ow. It's sharp. It's pointy. Doesn't look like anything, but when it runs, you'll be like, yeah, I knew Kim could do it. That's the thing. You're like, she's never gonna fix that piece of junk. And then if I do it, you'll be like, Kim, I knew she could do it. We'll get to see what that creamy liquid in the transmission is, you know. We'll get to see if those locking hubs do anything. I already found some horrific things in the suspension with the worn out suspension. So there's that. Yeah. Overall, if this thing ran, it would be fun. It'd be fun. I would tear up the yard. Buff Del Campo would be like, what'd you do? You tore up the grass. Yay, grass tearing. Who knows where there's good off-roading around here? There's gotta be good off-roading, it's Tennessee. Wrench! Where'd you go? Hello? Hello? I was working on the interior, trying to get that seat bracket sorted. It's a pain. I'll show you that later, but I'd really like to make one last attempt for this to start today. If it doesn't start, I might not even show you this. If it does start, we'll all clap, it'll be happy, whatever. She tried to start. Timing's off. I don't know where it is, but okay. A little bit more advanced there. Let's try it again. I mean, that's starting to sound like a motor. More timing, less timing. It's hard to say. Oh, it's retarded. Okay. More. That's definitely not helping. I mean, we're getting close here, people. Okay, timing light. We might do it with the timing light. Should I get the timing light or should I just call it? Oh, who am I kidding? I'm getting the timing light. If I was a professional auto revival mechanic person, I probably wouldn't need a timing light, but this is a crutch that I often use. Something very bright. Too advanced. Just about the time I think it's gonna start, it just blew. Maybe get some more gas in it. What did it do with my gas? When you set it on fire, you definitely need more gas. Okay, now I have gas all down my arm. This is lovely. No? Yes? Yes! Alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's dead. Alright, thanks for watching. It's dark. It's cold. There's no more to do on this today, so I'm going to post this video as it is. It'll run. Obviously, there's lots of adjustments and tweaking and things to get it to like, and I can't wait to see if the transmission does anything or if it moves, you know, four-wheel drive. I've got there's a lot more to talk, you know, there's a lot more going on with this, but this is it for today. So I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Maybe you learned something. We'll see you next time.